Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Sunday evening, August 4, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the dad's been like in your year recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that we still have Tropical Storm Debbie right here across the eastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico. And we now have a new area highlighted that has a low chance of development, as it is expected to trek across the Caribbean during the next 7 days. And we see Jamaica is even highlighted in that area. This was the update as of this morning, and then even as the day progressed, we're still getting other updates. We can see another one right here, quite different from the other one this morning. The other one had Jamaica more on the edge of the hatched area. Now this one at 4:52 has Jamaica maybe almost smack dab in the middle of it. And then we just had another one at 7:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:54 p.m. Jamaica time. And we can see that even the chance of cyclone formation is increasing. Earlier today it was at 20%, now it's at 30%. And according to the Hurricane Center, a tropical wave located a couple hundred miles east of the Windward Islands continues to produce an area of showers and thunderstorms. And earlier satellite wind data showed winds of 30 to 35 miles per hour just north of the wave axis. Environmental conditions appear generally favorable for some slow development over the next week, while the system moves quickly westward at around 20 miles per hour, crossing the Windward Islands Monday morning and moving into the central and western Caribbean by the middle to latter part of this week. And we see that they've given it a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours, that's the next 2 days, and a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. And we can take these systems lightly, especially with the very warm ocean waters out there. When we see these things aiming in our direction, we have to, stay prepared, stay alert, just in case they actually develop. So we have the D name storm right now, and we know the next name on the list is Ernesto. But let us focus our attention a bit on Debbie. We can see her right here getting ready to make landfall in Florida throughout the night into early Monday morning. They've already been getting a lot of cloud cover, shower and thunderstorm activity. We can see the deep convection associated with the heaviest weather that has to do with Debbie in general. We see the yellows, oranges, reds, the blacks, the grays, even some purples in there. Definitely gonna be some bad weather in general. If you have friends or relatives in those areas, please ensure that you get them to take this system seriously. We know what these systems come with: power outages, down trees, down power lines, whatever the case may be. Ensure that everyone stays safe. And we see the track of this system definitely pushing northward into the Big Bend region of the Florida state in general, then pushing northeastward, maybe back out to sea, then back inland. It's gonna be interesting to see how this part of the trek actually unfolds, because if it actually comes back inland, definitely gonna be re-strengthening over the water and then coming back into portions of maybe South Carolina, North Carolina, maybe Virginia as well. It's just a waiting game at this point, and we have to stay updated to see exactly what unfolds. And we can also see the intensity model guidance making sense. The system is basically a category. Well, it's a tropical storm still, packing maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour. So it is still expected to become a borderline hurricane, or their minimal category 1 if anything, and it's almost already there as of the 8 p.m. update. That's the 7 p.m. Jamaica time update. So 70 mile per hour winds is what it's packing, and from the hurricane scale, we know it's only 4 miles per hour short of becoming a hurricane right there, category 1. So it's actually trying to get its act together. It's definitely strengthening. It has been strengthening all day. So it is now a high-end tropical storm. So the winds are definitely going to be bad. Power outages for days in general. And we see the tropical storm force winds stretching out far from the center of the system. We see the gold and brown colors, and it's definitely expected to become a hurricane. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a hurricane by the 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's the 10 p.m. Jamaica time update. So we just have to get prepared. There are many Jamaicans who live in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and this system is definitely headed there. We don't mind the fact that it's a tropical storm or hurricane, because these systems can do a number on the power lines, the grid, the trees, the houses in general. And we see that the rainfall is going to be tremendous. We've been talking about this in yesterday's video. The greens that represent 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, the yellows and gold that represents up to 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, the oranges, reds, and even burgundy colors that represents up to 8 to 16 inches of rainfall. And considering that it's going to be stalling off the coast of South Carolina, it's definitely going to be bringing more in the way of rainfall to those coastal areas. So there's going to be a lot of flash flooding taking place. So if you have friends or relatives in those areas, keep in mind that the system is going to be making landfall in Florida. Although that's going to happen there, it's going to be causing even more rainfall in those spots to the north of Florida. So Georgia, South Carolina, maybe even spilling into portions of southern or southeastern North Carolina. So everybody has to be on the alert, because we know flooding is one of the most detrimental things that hurricanes or storms can cause. Not even the winds are that bad, but the flooding, definitely a bad situation unfolding in general. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with Tropical Storm Debbie right here to the north of Cuba, affecting portions of Florida, section of the Bahamas as well, spinning away. We can also see the clouds associated with that strong tropical wave to the east of the Windward Islands. And if you even look a bit closer, you can actually see the low-level spin associated with that system in a way, and it's expected to push westward. Let's hope it doesn't make it too close to Jamaica. And we can also see other tropical waves coming off of the coast of Africa right there, not to mention the intertropical convergent zone. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean later on. Let us focus our attention on this right here. Well, actually, we were just highlighting the clouds associated with this system. So we showed what the Hurricane Center was showing. So we showed the Tropical Storm Debbie satellite. So I just quickly wanted to show the satellite image of the tropical wave, and we can see it right here. So let us talk about what's going to be happening regarding where the system is going to be headed. So we're going to be looking at the two main supercomputer models. That's the Euro model and the GFS model. So first, let's look at the Euro model. As usual, we're going to be looking at the timestamp right here at the top. So we're just going to be going on to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days, just like what the Hurricane Center would do. And we're going to be focusing our attention from the main development region into the Caribbean. So we can see the system right now associated with all of the moisture right here, the greens that we know represent anywhere from 0.5 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall. And we're going to be watching it as it goes out to the west. So let's go. Let's keep our eye on the timestamp. Let's keep our eye on this part right here. So we can see that as we go out in time, we see the system entering the Caribbean by about 0Z on Tuesday. That's about 7 p.m. on Monday. And we see that it's entering portion of the Caribbean, the Southern Caribbean in general. And we see a lot of moisture associated with it right here to the south of Jamaica by midweek. This is about 12Z on Wednesday, which is actually 7 a.m. on Wednesday. We see the moisture right there. We start to even see an L that represents an airflow pressure. So let's hope that it is inclined with more of what the Euro is showing, having the system more so to the far south of Jamaica right there. And as we go out in time, seems to be heading into portions of Central America right there. But what does the GFS show for the same time period? Let's start over right here. So if we go out in time, we're seeing what's happening. As a matter of fact, first of all, we see Debbie heading into portions of Florida right there. And then we see the moisture associated with this tropical wave. It's more so squashed to the south of the Caribbean. I'm sure the ABC Islands are definitely going to be benefiting from the rainfall. We know how dry those islands can be. And we see the moisture associated with the tropical wave by about 12Z on Thursday, which is actually 7 a.m. on Thursday. So we see some differences. The Euro is a bit faster because 7 a.m. on Wednesday we had the tropical wave to the south of Jamaica, but the GFS has the tropical wave more so to the south of Jamaica on that Thursday morning, and we even getting on more of the rainfall into Jamaica. The Euro had more of the rainfall to the south of us. GFS trying to bring more of the rainfall into Jamaica. We see those darker greens and yellows in there. But we do see where the area of low pressure should be, somewhere similar to what the Euro has it, heading into portions of Central America by Friday. Either way, it's going to be some welcomed rainfall. I'm sure that many persons are going to be grateful for the rainfall it brings, regardless of development. This is the 7-day outlook in terms of rainfall. We see the heaviest or the most in the way for rainfall should be across portions of Northern and South America. Central America right there is represented by the darker reds and purples that represents anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. And we also see the rainfall that's expected across the Caribbean, so more so 1 to 1.75 inches of rainfall. And we see something similar on the GFS. Let's load up these images for the GFS. So yes, we're going to be seeing something similar with most of the rainfall off to the south of there. The purples, even some pinks in there, represent even more rainfall for Northern and South America. By the way, keep in mind that this map from the GFS and this map from the Euro are showing all the rainfall that's expected over the next 7 days. So definitely Northern and South America are going to be picking up the most in the way of rainfall. GFS trying to give some of the rainfall to Jamaica, some dark reds and some slight purples in there. We'll see how that goes, but for right now, we don't see the consensus. You're showing less rainfall across Jamaica than what the GFS is showing. Either way, we'll take it as long as there's not some tremendous flooding. We just want the temperatures to be cool for us. And we definitely have the Atlantic discussion from the Hurricane Center, still highlighting the tropical waves that we just mentioned, the Eastern Atlantic tropical wave, and the Central Atlantic tropical wave that's about to lash portions of the Caribbean, and we can see it all being represented right here on the surface map. The tropical wave right here to the east of the Caribbean, and the other tropical wave right here across the eastern portion of the main development region. And all of these are being steered from east to west across the main development region into the Caribbean, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north that we know are responsible for sending all of them westward. Everything that comes off of Africa to the west, not to mention the Saharan dust, and there's definitely some amount of Saharan dust in our area. If we take a look back at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, let's see if these images will load. Alright, so here we go. Yes, we see the clouds associated with that tropical wave, the clouds associated with other tropical wave to the east of the Caribbean, and the clouds associated with Debbie. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on what was predicted in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Sunday, August 4. It was stated that eastern Jamaica would have received some night rainfall on Saturday. And some of this rainfall also spilled into portions of this spilled into Sunday morning. So basically the same areas but some of this night rainfall spilled into Sunday morning as well. It was also predicted to affect sections of some northwestern portions of the island during Sunday afternoon. And just for reference, we know eastern parishes. We're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey. So Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Western parishes, I know we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall. So St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. While northern parishes, you know we're talking about those parishes on top. So Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, and Hanover. And what ended up happening? As early as 6:36 a.m. on Sunday, we had the visible satellite images that were posted on our Twitter page. And I want for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're made on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we may post throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So the visible satellite image was posted, and it highlighted some clouds bringing some isolated showers to sections of St. Thomas and Portland, if not overcast skies. So some of that night rainfall from Saturday definitely came into Sunday morning as well. Definitely got some decent rainfall over there. And then during the afternoon, we got some of the clouds starting to build. We got some diurnal convection in the afternoon. Yes, we got it across northwestern Jamaica later on, but not at this time when this was posted at 3:05. Most of the rainfall at that time we saw across portions of northern or north central Jamaica. So sections of St. Anne, sections of western or southwestern St. Mary got in on some of the action. We saw those sparkling yellow dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. So we definitely had some isolated thunder shower activity across those spots, if not some isolated showers. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can definitely see the low level flow more so coming in from the east southeast. And we definitely saw right there where we had the thunderstorms lashing. Portion of Trelawney, St. James, section of Hanover got in on the mix. And we saw those high cold cloud tops being blown off towards the southwest across sections of Westmoreland, even sections of Clarendon. Manchester, St. Elizabeth got those upper level winds to blow off the high cold cloud tops into those areas, maybe bringing some overcast skies in those spots. But as for the corporate area, we see here on See Jamaica's YouTube channel at about 1:34 p.m. that nothing was happening across Crossroads. This is the Crossroads cam from See Jamaica's YouTube channel. We saw that it was a mostly sunny day in those spots. Just some clouds right there across the hills of St. Andrew heading into portions of St. Mary, which explains the rainfall that they got during the afternoon. Definitely a sunny day for the most part across Kingston and St. Andrew. And we definitely saw that the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website confirms where we had the rainfall, definitely across eastern Jamaica and northern portions of some southern parishes spilling into some northern parishes. So definitely a section of St. Anne, Trelawney, Hanover, section of Westmoreland got in on the mix. And we saw that even better on the infrared satellite images showing the high cold cloud tops, and we can also see the thunderstorms that lashed portions of St. James, sections of Hanover today, and we saw the high cold cloud tops blowing off to the south, but we didn't get much in the way of rainfall across Westmoreland at all. And we also see the sparkling white dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. So they definitely got in on the isolated thunder shower activity across northwest Jamaica, just as predicted. If we take a look at the latest Cuban Doppler radar images, we can see that we still have some rainfall off to the west of the island, as represented by those green to yellow and gold colors. Definitely some heavy rainfall right there off the west coast of Westmoreland and Hanover right there. And keep in mind that this is as of the latest image from 10 minutes past this hour, so 7:10 p.m., considering that Cuba is 1 hour ahead of us. Unfortunately, the Jamaican Doppler radar is still not up and running. Hopefully it is sorted out before the year is done. As it relates to the latest infrared satellite images, let's see if we can match what we just saw on the Doppler radar images with what's here. Okay, so it makes sense. So we just saw the rainfall right there off to the west, and what we're seeing here on the satellite images showing the clouds and the thunderstorms are matching what we're seeing with the rainfall off the coast of Westmoreland and Hanover. But as for the east, nothing happening. We see some clouds right there across the north. Those are some high cold cloud tops. Nothing drastic, nothing to worry about. Just some overcast skies for northern Jamaica in general. As we see right here on See Jamaica's YouTube channel showing the halfway tree cam, we don't see much of anything taking place. Persons going about their business, vehicles making a very busy halfway tree as usual on the Sunday evening. You can see nothing taking place in terms of bad weather at all. Definitely fair, just as seen on the Doppler radar images and the satellite images. As it relates to the temperatures right now, we can see that the temperatures are starting to cool down a bit. 28 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Monday, temperature should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. But as it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Monday. When you calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Monday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some yellow and some gold colors that we can see by the key on the right that represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of August across Jamaica are about 91 degrees Fahrenheit. When calculated, that's about 32.7 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Monday. Please ensure that you all stay hydrated because we know how bad the heat can get. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Monday, we can see Jamaica right here starting to get in on some of the Saharan dust. We see the brown colors, and we know the darker shades represent the most in the way of vigorous plume that can cause the very hazy skies. Not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses, asthma, sinusitis in some persons. Not saying that these browns can't bring that same effect, but not as bad as the darker shades of brown. And we know all of this is eventually going to be pushing from east to west, so we're going to be getting on that eventually if it doesn't dwindle down. So we might just get some hazy skies tomorrow and whenever we're seeing the sky in general, but it won't be as bad, but it will definitely be there. So please ensure that you have your meds handy just in case. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that the seas are going to be a bit choppy from the Eastern Caribbean to the Central Caribbean associated with that tropical wave. We see the purples represent up to 2 meter wave heights. We can also see that the seas are going to be choppy across the waters near Florida associated with Debbie, so that makes sense because the winds associated with these systems are going to be churning up the water. We see the greens that represent up to 10 to 20 knot winds, the yellows that represent anywhere from 25 to 30 knot winds, and yes, there's definitely going to be some strong winds stretching from the eastern to the central Caribbean. And we see the strong winds associated with Debbie that's going to be lashing portions of Florida, southern Georgia as well. But as to the wind forecast for Jamaica, we can see that the strongest wind should be on the south coast tomorrow. We see these brighter greens up to 20 knot winds, and we also see that we're going to be having the air piling up across sections of some central and western parishes. So we can't rule out some more rainfall. That's on the Euro. What does the GFS show? Alright, GFS making a bit more sense. The mere fact that we're going to be having the strongest winds on the south coast, it makes sense that more of the air is going to be piling up across northern and western Jamaica. So that's where we're going to be having most of the afternoon convection. So if we get some rainfall coming out of the east, it could affect sections of St. Thomas and Portland as usual, but during the afternoon those cumulus clouds are going to be becoming some mid-level rain clouds, if not some upper level cumulonimbus clouds. As usual, we're going to be having all of that air piling up and bringing some amount of thunderstorm activity to portions of northern and western Jamaica as well. We know how these things go. It's usually the afternoon hours, and with the upper level wind still coming in from the northeast, definitely going to be favoring more of the thunderstorms across those spots, bringing more overcast skies to some southern parishes. Something similar to what happened. We saw the thunderstorms today And we saw the upper level clouds pushing the high cold cloud tops out towards the southwest. So it's gonna be something similar on Monday. And if we actually take a look at the rainfall forecast, we can see the GFS making more sense than the Euro. Keep in mind that this is valid for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. So we don't see much rainfall for the morning, which explains how we skip straight to the afternoon. So 3 p.m., this is what's expected. The blues that represents rainfall across sections of St. Mary, St. Anne, section of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, even section of St. Elizabeth, more so northern and western St. Elizabeth. The Euro, as usual, trying to do something crazy, showing the blues that represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western Jamaica. But we're more inclined to believe where we have the darker shades of blue, so northern and western parishes in Jamaica. That's where the chances are higher for the rainfall on Monday. So get ready for that if you live in those parishes. And if we take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast from the Weather Nerds website, we can see that yes, we're going to be getting up to 0.5 of an inch of rainfall across the northwest according to the GFS. You're not so robust, showing more of the rainfall or the most in the rainfall across north central Jamaica. We'll see how that goes. Either way, there's rain in the forecast, and we're indeed grateful for that. We're in the month of August. We have Kingston's bar graph here at the top, Montego Bay's bar graph here at the bottom. Kingston bar graph is in millimeters, Montego Bay's bar graph is in inches. Clearly we see that Montego Bay gets more rainfall than Kingston, up to almost 5 inches of rainfall. Kingston get almost 100 millimeters of rainfall. You can do the math yourself, considering that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters. And you can also visit weatherandclimate.com to find out about the annual rainfall for your specific parish. So the rainfall increase in August is normal if we're going to be getting more and rainfall as predicted. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, clouds are definitely going to be bringing some shower and thunderstorm activity associated with that tropical wave to portions of the Windward Islands on Monday. As a matter of fact, as early as this evening, I'm sure it has already started in some spots. Lots of bad weather expected for Florida tonight as Debbie heads inland. We can also see northern South America with the usual thunderstorm activities, portions of Central America as well. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, let's see what's happening. So we can see that there's not much taking place. Some isolated shores right there to the south of Puerto Rico. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, however, I'm sure we're going to start seeing some of the rainfall associated with the tropical wave starting to come in. We can see the rainfall right there to the east of Barbados, pushing in from the east. Definitely going to be getting nailed tonight with some shower and thunderstorm activity. We can also see some rainfall right there to the north of Barbados, heading into portions of Martinique, St. Lucia right there. Even section of Trinidad and Tobago will eventually get in on some rainfall later on tonight, if not tomorrow, associated with that tropical wave. If we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall right there coming into portions of the ABC Islands. I'm sure that they're going to be grateful for that rainfall. Section of northern Venezuela, Colombia, section of French Guyana getting in on some rainfall as we speak. We can also see some rainfall coming into portions of Florida and some outer bands from Debbie across sections of northwestern Cuba still, but that's about to wrap up. And if we take a look at the rainfall forecast, what's expected within the next 24 hours from now up until 10 p.m. on Monday, we can see the consensus that there's still going to be a lot more rainfall to come associated with Debbie for portions of Florida, sections of Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, some isolated shores in the greens and the yellows, Puerto Rico, isolated shores, the Leeward Islands, isolated shores in general, but not so robust on the GFS at all. But anywhere from Dominica southward, definitely going to be getting some rainfall associated with the tropical wave. Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, even areas south of there, like Guyana, coastal areas of Suriname, sections of French Guyana. You can also see some more rainfall for sections of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, and even sections of the Yucatan Peninsula. We You can even see some isolated showers in the portions of the Cayman Islands too. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.